This is Mark Mitchell from Wizard Strategy. Glad you joined us again today for this episode. And once again, I've got an amazing guest. It's going to teach us some new things. It's another subject that, for some reason, our guest woke me up to it a week or so ago about the importance of this subject that I had not really considered how important it was. And the subject of that is job sites and just how important a job site, knowing how to use the job site to your advantage. Now, I would say that this is primarily about commercial building material sales, but it would also work with residential, I believe, from what we've talked about this, that the importance of getting like the construction manager of a home builder can also be important when you've thought about just like, oh, that darn purchasing agent won't give me his time of day or won't think about it. Well, if the construction manager's having a problem on a residential site that you could solve, they've got the ear of the purchasing person. So while we're probably going to be talking about things like architects and general contractors and subs and project managers and things, if you're doing residential new construction, I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff for you here. And so I'd like to introduce everybody to Carolina Albano. She is what I call, she's a crackerjack salesperson. She's got energy. She's got knowledge. She just is a go make it happen kind of person that I've known for a number of years. We first met each other when she was at Nishiha, and she's had several other positions since then. And she got to come to Boulder and be in one of my workshops. And all of a sudden, so Carolina, tell us about your background.
Okay, so I started out in the building materials industry as a technical trainer back in 2008. I was hired to develop a training program for installers because the company that I was at manufactured not necessarily a difficult system, but it was something new, a new rain screen that perhaps building envelope installers weren't used to. So we created an installer program to help spread the word and help, promote the product. And so I started out as the trainer. And then the company realized that, oh, she's got a couple engineering degrees. She knows what she's talking about. And I learned all about building codes and testing and certifications. And so I ended up hiring people to take over the training and eventually developed a train the trainer program. So I've been teaching installers, and I've been developing training and been doing material testing and certification for a very long time. And then I kind of was bored of being in-house. So then I wanted to do sales. And so then I switched over to sales. So I kind of made the leap of being a technical person and jumped into being a salesperson, which is a totally different world, different way of thinking, different mindset, different words spoken to different clients in different ways. But I found that all of the stuff that I learned in the technical field of a building material manufacturer was gold as a salesperson. And it's put me ahead of my peers because I'm able to problem solve on the spot at a job site, or understand the competition a little bit better, or understand the other products that are working with the product that I'm trying to sell.
Great, and I understand you've got a new venture. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, thank you. So for many years, I've kind of been an unofficial coach to my peers, coworkers, my network, the people that I love and know. And so I decided to go out there and be bold and offer up professional coaching, executive coaching for people in the building industry, and especially people who are either in sales teams. So one of the top things that I hear from clients is, how do I get my salespeople to not be scared of walk into a job site? And so then I decided to develop a how to job site class, which we're about to launch. I'm very excited about it. I've been going to job sites 2-3 times a week for the past 13 years. And I still get scared to walk into a job site. I was at a job site yesterday, and I have a solid background in job sites, and I'm doing a class on how to job site. And sometimes it's still scary to walk in. And so my goal is to share everything that I've learned, what to wear, even what not to wear, what to do, what to say, what not to say, who to approach, who are the people you talk to and that you meet, and why it's very, very important if you want to be a successful salesperson of a building product to know how to handle yourself at a job site.
That's great. And that's what we're going to talk about today, and how I always like everything to have context. And so I'm seeing the context of companies all the time say, first of all, how can we get specified in a commercial project? And then they'll say, okay, how do we keep the spec? How do we keep from getting value engineered out of the specification? And when you and I were talking a week or so ago, I'd thought always about, well, you need to have a relationship with the general contractor, the sub, make sure the distributor, get all those people on board, make it easy to get pricing from you, get their questions answered, things like that. And I'd never in my mind related it to the job site. I saw the job site as maybe a place that you go the first time that someone's going to install your product to make sure it goes well. You go when there's a problem.
Definitely.
But other than that, why would you go to the job site? And so you opened my eyes to the importance of that. And so, I guess I'd like to, talk about how you see the importance of the job site in that you don't just go there because they've never installed this type of cladding or whatever, or because they called up and there's something not working well. Give us a perspective for overall about why the job site is important.
Well, so the job site is important. It's important for you to get to know the job site and be comfortable at a job site, because those calls are going to come, right? The call of somebody screwed something up, you need to come here and fix it. And you don't want that to be the first time that you go to a job site, so it's very important that you get familiar with what goes on as a salesperson too, or even as engineers and the developers, designers of the product. You want to see how the end user is using your product. And what are they having a hard time with? Or are they having to, that we redesigned the product at Nichiha a couple of times as a result of us speaking with the end user on site. So it's important for you to know how people are using your product. That can give you ideas for other products to develop as well, or ideas of what other materials are being used with your product so that you can make branding partnerships potentially. And then, of course, the relationships that you make. When the developers, the owners, and the owner's rep, when you meet an owner's rep, that's gold, because they're representing the people with the money. And if they like you and they see that you're a problem solver, that you're there, that you're not running away from issues, they're going to call you back. And that I can tell you that from experience, and of course, defend the spec. You want to, your competitors are the people that are at the job site are the ones that are going to have their spec defended, in my opinion.
And the other thing that's that you brought up there, I think that's really interesting, is the importance of the owner, which I see is more and more important. Sometimes I say to people, well, maybe calling on the architect isn't your best path. Okay. If you have 3 salesmen and the competition has 60 that do nothing but spend time with architects, maybe your 3 people should spend time with the owners. And
Correct.
but that's an important thing. The other thing that I think is, if the owner likes you, the owner has the money, and the money is power. And so the owner could be working on a different project with a different architect and a different GC, and the owner could say, hey, I really want to use this. All right.
Exactly.
Maybe you weren't even in the spec, but the owner has such, they're confident that they're going to have a good experience with your product, and they're confident that you're there to make sure things go well. And so when they say that, all of a sudden the GC goes, well, I think I'll find some other things to value engineer. And the architect probably goes, oh, good, I don't have to make that decision. And on they go. And so I think that, that's a really important thing. What do you think, what do you see, or in your experience, are the biggest mistakes that, we'll just say, a person that's not that experienced in job site etiquette, protocol, I don't know what word even to use. What do you see as the most common mistakes that people could make?
The most common, the most common, I think, is not having your PP&E, which it means something different now after the pandemic. But before the pandemic, PP&E means your hard hat, your safety glasses, your vest, and steel toe boots. So it's showing up at a job site either with sandals or not prepared. Because yeah, the GC can provide you with a hard hat and a vest, but you've got to be wearing the right shoes and the right clothes. Like don't be all dressed up, right? When we try to kind of mimic the people that you're going to go see, don't go in there in your suit and tie and your fancy shoes. Try. You're there to connect with these people, right? So dress appropriately. So number one mistake is that. The other thing is not or parking in the wrong place. So I've many times, a sales rep will park right in front of the trailer, and then there's like a truck trying to make a lumber delivery, or, it's like, whose car is this? Move your car, so not parking in the, like, not understanding a layout of the job site. And another mistake is not knowing how to read blueprints. You'd be surprised how many people just don't know how to read CAD drawings. And what you're going to do at a job site, the first thing the GC is going to say is, oh, this guy is here from so-and-so. Hey, can you take a look at these plans? What do we do with this transition? What do we do at this corner? What do we do over here at this window jamb? Because the windows are recessed. And you're like, I don't even know what I'm looking at. So you've got to understand your product and understand how to read plans before you step into a job site, because chances are they're going to ask you.
Yes, excellent. Well, I'm help me understand. So part of me, being a skeptic, goes, well, wait, Carolina, by the time there's a job site, all of these decisions have been made, and so if I'm going to be value engineered out, that probably happened before there's even a construction site. Is that, am I correct there?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes it's true. Sometimes before you get to the actual installation date, but the VE changes happen during construction. So depending on how early you've been calling on these people, and you can go when they're breaking ground, and they'll tell you, no, this is dirt. It's just dirt. You show up when there's just dirt, and then come back by, and then come back by again. And because the VEing happens during that process. So,
Okay.
so there's time. There's still time. Sometimes you can't win them all. Like sometimes, you just
No, but
you take it.
no, you're not going to win them all, but you're going to build some relationships, build some trust, credibility with a number of the people on the decision makers, and you may not get that one, but they'll be, hey, this is, I know I can now put a face to this company, and I kind of feel good. This person knows what they're talking about. They would add value, so we should give them a shot. Maybe on a future project.
Yeah, and you can use it as an opportunity to ask, hey, where are you guys headed next? If you're bold,
Yes.
it takes courage, but you can ask the question, where you guys headed next? If you feel like you've built rapport, and then they'll tell you, yeah, we're going to do a Holiday Inn down the street, and it's
Yes.
over 6 blocks away. So then you go to that one, and maybe you'll win that.
Well, and maybe it's like, Steve from the Hilton Hotel project told me about this project, Bob. I'd like to come see you, or it's like,
Exactly.
and that part. And then the other is, I don't know how you experience, but with the advent sometimes of design build, and maybe the GC not wanting the world to know, and maybe the owner wanting to keep the project as quiet for as long as possible. You may not see it on a Dodge report or something, that ground level knowledge of where the GEC or the people in the construction trailer, oh yeah, no, we're doing a thing a mile from here, and that may be, you may be the first to know about that.
That's
And
exactly right.
so I think that's good. But you bring up a funny point. So there's a large 4-story multi-use project going up here in Boulder that I can see when I look out my window. So I've been watching it from the bare dirt to as they're progressing with it. And I remember when it was bare dirt and there was a construction trailer there, and I noticed like 2 times I saw women pull up in a car, get out of their car in high heels and a really nice, professional outfit you'd wear to an office, and put a hard hat on, and then, walk into the construction trailer. And I was kind of like, wow. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe, I'm sure you're not planning on walking around the dirt a lot. I'll just get in my car and go in the trailer here. So I guess I can dress up. But I just,
it just depends on, I mean, like that can be a tricky subject to touch. And trust me, being a woman and a young woman in a construction site. And back when I started, there were a lot less women. These
Yes.
days, we see a lot more women wearing hard hats out there. I saw one yesterday at the job site I visited. So it speaks to how you want to be treated and how you want to be perceived. And this goes for men and for women. If you're going in there in a suit or a tight dress and heels, sure, put on your hard hat, but are they going to listen to technical advice from you? Or it's harder to get through that barrier, even though you may be very well equipped and your brain is insanely filled with amazing things. It's hard for them to see past it. Unfortunately, that's how we're built. That's how humans are built. It's hard for me to see past what I see right here as my first impression. First
Yes.
impressions are so important at a job site.
That's there was a sales a woman sales representative, I think in Wisconsin, that worked for a client of mine that's sold manufactured air and moisture barriers, and I loved her LinkedIn profile page because it had a picture of her on a job site with a hard hat on with their company's logo. I mean, it just looked like, hey, I'll get in the mud with you. I mean, it literally just set right there the stage about, I'm about business. I really always really liked how she handled that. I thought that worked well. Now, when I so I'm assuming the protocol is like, do I just show up? Do I call somebody and say, can I stop by Tuesday at 10? And I'm assuming then I go to the construction trailer, and then like, who's in there? What happens? How does that all work?
That's a great question. The answer is it depends. I mean, you always have to check in, right? Like there's always, especially these days with COVID, you have to check in. They have to take your temperature. Some job sites give you wristbands. They got to make sure for safety's sake that, especially large commercial projects, like I remember when the 9/11 building was being built, it was a highly secure site. So not only could you not show up, you had to make an appointment, and they did a background check and they did all these things. So it depends on the purpose of your visit. But I will tell you that when I was head of the technical department and we were going in to check out either warranty claims or sometimes like the superintendent would call or the site engineer would call and say, hey, the installer's screwing things up, what's going on, come check it out, and just come anytime. You can just show up anytime you want. And especially if you're going incognito, you can just kind of show up and not let anybody know that you're there. But somebody at some point needs to know you're coming and who you are and who you're with. Otherwise, you could get kicked out. I've been this close to getting kicked out of a job in Virginia once. So yeah, so you ideally make an appointment, especially if nobody knows who you are. At the beginning, yes. If it's your first time, absolutely, somebody should walk with you.
Now, when I go into the trailer, and so I've gone to several job site visits and the trailer, and they're to me, in my experience, I'll call it the project manager. He's either from the GC, or in some cases, could be the owner, but usually it's the GC. There's a GC's project manager, and then there's a bunch of drawings and things and blueprints, and then there's a couple of other guys, looking at blueprints or discussing things and so forth.
And a giant Gantt chart on the wall with
yes.
the little timelines.
Yeah. So who's in there, and who do I need to talk to, and who's important, or how's that all work?
Well, it depends on what part of the spec you're on, right? It depends on, are you plumbing? Are you electrical? Are you building envelope? Are you, concrete? So there's different trades at any given time inside the trailer. There's usually the head honcho person always around. That's in charge of scheduling and in charge of making sure the work is flowing correctly. So there's usually somebody in charge of receiving stuff, but it can change on any given day. So my trick is I show up, I say, hey, I'm Carolina Albano with my company, and then I give them my business card, and typically they will right back give you their business card, and you know exactly who you're dealing with.
Now, do you find also that you can proactively, let's say, not wait that there's a problem? I mean, you can go check in and so forth, but beyond checking in or whatever, be able to say, hey, what are the biggest challenges that you're facing on this particular project? I just want to see if there's anything we can do to help. Is there a lead time issue with another product? Is there, are the installers comfortable with the product, and they can do to there? I mean, you proactively go in, and at least that would be my approach, would be to proactively try to find if they're having some sort of issue or worry in today's world. And because I certainly would not want their job. Oh my God. I just think every day it's like, what's going to go wrong today? I mean, oh my God, and
that's a great question.
Yeah. So how do you approach that?
The general contractor has, I think, the hardest job of all of the players involved in construction. I think the biggest trick to all of this is just ask, how's it going? And then shut up. Because most of the time they want to vent. They want to vent to someone, and it is what comes out of their mouth is gold. So bring a notebook and take notes. Because they want to talk to you. You just have to open the door and I know like salespeople, we talk a lot. And in this case, you just need to listen, like 80% listen, just ask a really open-ended question, like, how's it going? How has it been? How are things? How are deliveries? Like, I heard, if you want to come in with I heard there's a lumber shortage. Just let them talk, because they're going to tell you everything. And then you can then say, what else? And they keep going. They really do.
Right there. That is, golden. I mean, I have this problem where I talk too much, and don't listen enough. Like I have so much I always want to share. I feel like I'm too often a Ginsu knife commercial, but wait, there's more, and that's always such a great reminder to all of us to just shut up and listen. And then I love that point about giving them another reason to keep going, because within there, one is they'll feel closer to you because you allowed them to vent, and then they're a surprising amount of time I find that they mention something that you can help them with.
Yes.
Either your product, your company, just something in the way you service something, or whatever it is that all of a sudden they didn't know that you to ask you if you could help with this, but you can.
That's
And
right.
and then even if I also find that even if you can't, if you went and talk and had 3 conversations with 3 GCs in the same locality on job sites, well, now you're going to see a common thread of what are the biggest issues. It could be labor shortage, it could be trained installers, could be, you know, what the parades going down the street. I don't know, all kinds of whatever the weather. And now you're going to find the other job sites, are going to have a similar thing, and you can start to think about, is there anything that you can do to make that better, ease that pain, help them out with that.
Yeah. And you can even, one thing that we did at Nichiha really well, you can develop not just training, but many, like, here's what I can do for you, tailored around all of those problems that they face every single day. And it's like, okay, they're just my easy button. I'm just going to call Carolina because she knows how I feel. She knows what's going on, and she can solve my problems. And like, I don't have to explain things to her. She knows how to solve it. Or she knows someone who can. And so eventually the goal is for you to know so many people. And in my case, I know my competition and I know the players around my product. So if I can't help them, I'm happy to send them to a competitor that offers a product that I don't offer. I do that. So, eventually once you've done this long enough, you get to know enough people, and you get to say, hey, including hiring subs, like, you're having a problem finding a sub because there's a labor shortage. Everybody's busy. Well, how about this sub? I know all of them. Here's a list of 6 that I know and I like and I trust.
Right. And, and if you want them to, like working for you, here's an issue for them about GCs frustrate them. Okay.
Exactly.
And just get, it's your choice whether to use that or not, but, cause I found subs all can say, oh, I hate working for this firm because of this. I hate working, but boy, I love working for this firm because of this,
Mm-hmm.
And they sometimes don't, they just kind of can see, well, a sub is a sub. This is how much they are per hour in this market. This one's a little better than that one. This one's a little more reliable than that one. This one's a little more expensive, but they don't go beyond that and understand the nuance of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's get back to the so your advice, if we can kind of pull this together, is one, the importance of job sites within the grand scheme of things. If you just spend your time doing lunch and learns at architectural firms, you're not going to be as effective as if you take it all the way to include perhaps the owner, if you get an opportunity, the GC, the sub, the distributor, and on the job site. And that may be something that has not been given enough importance, recognized as much. And so I think that's my number one takeaway from this. And then number 2 is this, to be prepared. Like, how many people don't show up with their PPE and know how to be, get out and look the part with the boots and the hard hat and so forth. And then the third one is the importance of being able to read blueprints. It seems like, that, you got to have those 3 down or you're not going anywhere. It's like to show up, even if you have on the PPE and you just want to walk in with a sales brochure and think that's going to do something, you're probably wasting your time. If you can't get, at that point, we're down to the details about, like, there's this window return and we don't know how to handle this. And this drawing, I'm not sure is correct, or whatever the issue is. Like, and you may tell me if I'm wrong here, Carolina, but you don't have to know everything. Like they're
That's
going
right.
to ask you questions you cannot answer, and that's okay. But if you can read the drawing and go, oh, I see why you have a question. Let me get our technical guy and get you an answer. Okay. Don't go in there because you're afraid that they're going to ask you a question you can't answer. But
Exactly.
if you're at least able to read the blueprints, understand the issues, you are going to run into something like, how did that get designed, or what are they going to do? You're going to
Exactly.
run into that.
Yeah, that's the reason that they're happy that you're there, because they ran into an issue where the architect drew something that's impossible to bring to life. That happens all the time. And so what's great about that is that that's how you learn how to solve problems on site
Yes.
and right away. And of course, yeah, you're not gonna be born knowing that. It's gonna take some time, but if you can understand the problem, then you can help them find a solution. You may not be able to answer it because you may not have the authority, right? Like if it's a highly technical product, you're going to have to go to the mothership and say, hey, is it okay if they do this?
Right.
They're proposing this workaround. But you got to understand the question, and to understand the question, you have to be able to read the blueprints, read the drawings.
Yeah, and the other thing for young people, or just people new to the industry, many times I think they can feel intimidated, and it's like, oh my gosh, I have so much to learn here, and I have. If you, in my experience, if you walk in, I don't care if it's on a job site, to an architect, to a builder, a contractor, and you're just honest with them, it's like, look, I'm new at this, right? And this is but I want to be really great, and I want to be of value to you. So I'd appreciate any tips you can give me, or help that you give me about about how to do a better job, or teach me things that you think I should know. And I've never run into somebody yet. Well, I don't have time for that. I find people are, they always tell me, Mark, we need to meet with reps. Okay. We may not seem like it, but we need to meet with reps because they keep us up to date on changes, new products, new ways of doing things. What frustrates us is when a rep comes in as a salesperson and has no regard to what we do, our problems, our life, how their product fits into what we're doing. They're just there to tell us 10 reasons why their product's better. Okay. That person is not of great value to us. And so they're so desperate to take the reps, and any rep that wants to do a better job, help them to do a better job. And it's not about better sales techniques or knowledge about your product, but it's knowledge about the customer, which is always a thing I find so many building material companies. They do a good job of hiring. They do a good job of giving product training, and maybe they do some sales training, but they almost never do any customer training. Like, this is the guy. There's this thing called a job site. Here's this trailer. Here's who's in it. This is what they're facing every day. This is how you can help them. And if you help them, here's how it can benefit you. It's like, that's the part that you have to kind of learn on the job, or maybe you're fortunate to have a salesperson that's been around a number of years to take you under their wing. But
it's rare. It's rare, and I'm finding that sales managers these days are just too busy. People are doing multiple jobs, and people are too busy, and the labor shortage is big, and so we're hiring people and we're not able to train them. And that's part of why I decided to say yes and develop this training program.
Great.
Just to kind of step in and help with that. And you just have to you have to walk into a job site with the will to serve and the will to help out. They do want you there. Sometimes, most of the time, these guys are strapped for time. There's delays all the time, and labor's expensive and hard to come by. And sometimes the architect wants what they want when they want it, and they want the installer to tear things down unnecessarily sometimes. And so you, as the manufacturer, you're the lifeline. you can be the person to step in and talk to the architect because you already have a relationship with them because they spec your product, and you can say, hey, no, they did the right thing. It doesn't make sense to tear this down slash like destroy any money they were making on this project. So I mean, they do want you there. You just have to come in there with the right intention.
Yes, yes, which to me I think is a intention of being helpful,
Yeah.
intention of being empathetic or wanting to understand their issues, not assuming that you know, or that if they just use your product it would solve everything. I think that's an important part of it. Is there any other? This has been really great. Is there any other areas that we've not touched upon, Carolina, that come to mind?
Um, I'm not. I'm looking at my check. Well, so there sometimes can be a site audit or a site checklist. That's what we used to do on the technical side, because depending on the type of product, you have a full audit of an installation. Another good time to go to a job site is when they're doing a mock wall. If you're doing building envelope, the builder is going to do a mock wall for large projects. That's a great time to learn, because you'll see they usually have a window or a door, and then either a corner, an inside corner or an outside corner. And so you'll see how your product is installed and how it wraps around corners and just little nuance like that. So maybe, and I would say be in constant contact with maybe the sub, I guess, would be like your first lifeline, and find out, hey, when are you guys receiving material? When are you installing? And make it a point and take pictures of the job site. And that helps you to sell yourself on social media. I love showing photos of my job site visits and my projects, and it helps you to sell to the next person. It's your testimonial.
I think that's a great addition. We hadn't talked about that, and also I think when you go to the job site beyond the trailer to out where they're actually working with your product. I've never not learned something. Even I know perfectly well how, I've seen this installed 20 times. I look and go, oh, look how he's doing. That's interesting. Maybe, just you notice something, you learn something, and you can also provide suggestions, that maybe they're having an issue with, how do I cut this, or how do I this, and you've learned from other job site visits, ways to maybe aren't in the installation manual, but are perfectly allowable to do, but make things go a little with fewer problems.
Yeah, you share things that you learned from other installers. Hey,
yeah.
I've seen it done this way.
Right. So, hey, well, this has been really great, and I look forward to having you speak at the on this very subject in more depth at the upcoming Wizard Summit that this May. And tell people how they can connect with you or get in touch with you.
Okay, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Carolina Albano. I'm on LinkedIn pretty much every day. We have a special landing page for howtojobsite.com, where you can enter your name. If you're interested in taking the class, enter your name in there. We'll give you a freebie, and then we'll let you know when we're launching the class. And for my coaching, I'm at Industruct, in industry, in INDUSTRUCT, industrystructure.com.
And I'll have this all in the notes. If you click on it to the podcast or YouTube, I'll have all that written in there. But I also want to say that I'm always telling people how important LinkedIn is in building material sales. And I use Carolina as an example of someone to follow. Like, to me, we each need to be who we are as people, and Carolina does a great job, and she'd be a person that I'd recommend that you connect with, and then just watch what she does, because she does a great job of it, and see how if you can get some tips by just following Carolina on that. And I highly recommend that if this area of job sites is of interest to you, that you connect with Carolina to see when she has that put together, and so that you can be the master of job sites, I guess. Maybe she's
Yes.
going to have a
Yeah.
diploma or a degree or something. but
Okay.
but thanks again for joining us, Carolina. This has been
Thank you, Mark.
fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And I follow you and your advice, and I've been doing that for years, and it's gotten me places. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you to everybody for listening in. If I'd love to hear from you if there's other subjects that you'd like me to cover. So look forward to hearing from you and to our upcoming episode next week. So have a great week, everyone.